Let's start off with the top four race. And Harry Kane's been speaking today, and he said that pretty much that Spurs are going to have to win the remainder of their 5 games if we want to get this top 4. Do you think that's true?
I don't think it's true, but that's the right mentality to have, because as much as Arsenal might drop points in games they have where you don't expect, we might as well. So you have to go in the mentality that, considering Arsenal have a 2-point lead, if the only way it stays in our hands is if we win all our games. If we win all our games, we will be playing Champions League football next season. I know we have Liverpool away coming up, which is obviously going to be extremely difficult. But the only way we can guarantee a top 4 place and all the eventualities that come from that, we need to make sure that we win all our 5 games, and it's going to be very difficult to do that. And it's not going to be easy. We have the capability to do it, but it's not going to be simple whatsoever to do that. But I think going into all those games with a mentality that we can't afford to drop points, we have to win every single game, is the most important thing. But for me, it didn't seem like we had that mentality over the last 2 games. That was the most disappointing thing, especially the last game. It seemed like near the end, we were happy. We would rather take a point than throw caution to the wind and try and get all 3. So ever since we keep saying, oh, cup finals this, cup finals that, we've got 7 cup finals, we've been faltering.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can be. I feel like sometimes when you have that mentality of we've got 7 cup finals, and then, because even if you drop points in one of them, there's still all to play for. But if you go in the mentality it's cup final and you lose early on in one of the early games, then all of a sudden you can make it seem like a bigger deal than it was, because you got the mentality that it's do or die in every game if it's a cup final.
You got a feeling that maybe they're putting a bit too much pressure on themselves from a bit too early.
I don't think now, because 5 games to go.
Yeah, now I'm saying from when they started saying it.
Potentially, yeah. Because I think they started saying 7 cup finals, and we drop the first time first cup final that comes up, we lose. So it's like, okay, are we out of it now? But no, we're not out of it, because it's still very open, it's still very close. So I don't see the point in calling it a cup final if it's not gonna have the consequence of a cup final if we lose one of the games. You know what I mean? And you don't want to have negativity seep into the squad when there's still all to play for. You know what I mean? So that's why I never like that cliche.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. But when you're looking at, the face of things, when you're looking at Arsenal, do you back them? I mean, how many games do you back them to win from now to the end of the season? Because I don't think they're playing well. I really don't think they're playing well. I think they're majorly getting the rub of the green. They look shaky at the back, and things are just falling for them at the moment. And again, for this West Ham game, Craig Dawson gets a sending off in the last minute of the game. Yeah. They got no fit centre-backs to play Arsenal next weekend. And on top of that, they're in between European games. So even if a centre-back does miraculously get fit before that game, they won't be playing, will they? They're going to be saving them for the Europa League games.
And that's disappointing. That's frustrating that that's the case. And I think in terms of Arsenal, how they're playing at the moment, I have to say that as much as they are getting the rubber green, that's obvious against Chelsea United, they are definitely upping their game from a footballing standpoint going forward. I think Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka, and Nketiah definitely looking to have upped their level recently than they were the previous games. They looked lethargic and they looked static before that. They weren't creating the number of opportunities that they have been recently. Especially when you take the Southampton game into account as well. They created a lot of opportunities in that game. So I think they're starting to play better football, but from the flip side, they're looking very, very shaky all of a sudden at the back, whereas before they weren't. So a lot of the times it's give and take as to the balance of the team. And at the moment, Arsenal, the thing is with Arteta, things were going badly. Obviously lost 4 out of 5 games, and then he switched it up. He brought El Neni in, he brought Nketiah in, he put Tavares back at left back, and although I don't think they had stellar performances against Chelsea United, they definitely did look better going forward. I don't think that's a doubt. I think they were definitely getting in better situations. They've been definitely looking sharper when they go forward. I think you've got to give them credit for that, but how they've managed to make the mistakes they have done at the back and get away with it is another question. I don't know how they've managed to do that. That's just one thing. Sometimes you get those in the season where you just get the rub of the green, and maybe that different energy in having that different energy in the team than they had before when it was going stale has created their own luck in a way, because they have looked a lot better going forward. And if they could continue to look that good going forward, then and with the new confidence and belief that these 2 wins against 2 teams up, higher up the table has given them, then it's going to be difficult. But no doubt they have the ability to drop points. We just got to put pressure on them. If we beat Leicester on Sunday, where they go away at West Ham, I know West Ham with all the difficulties they're encountering, but they're still going for a top 6 place. However they think, if United drop points against Brentford on Saturday, they're going to have a chance to gain some points on Man United in top 6, and they're not going to give up on that just because they're in Europe. I know I'm sure they'll rest players, but I'm saying the players on the pitch, you saw against Chelsea that they very nearly took a point from them. They were very motivated to get that point. They were very well organised. And they're going to look to frustrate and stifle Arsenal, and it's whether they can do that because of the quality of Arsenal's forward players. But if they go into that game behind us, they need to win. They can't draw, and that adds a different element of pressure potentially for that game. So I think it's just all about us making sure that we don't make it easy for them, and we don't. For example, if we drop points against Leicester, that all of a sudden that greater motivation, that pressure is almost off for Arsenal in that West Ham game, and they can play with a bit more freedom. But if we can get the win, put pressure on them, go above them psychologically, you might see them stutter again. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think when I was watching that West Ham Chelsea game, it did give me a bit of hope that West Ham maybe can get something. I know it wasn't after European game, but it was a much changed team, and it'll be a very similar team, isn't it? The one that's going to face Arsenal. I know Craig Dawson.
No Dawson, yeah.
Yeah, Craig Dawson won't be there. I have no idea. He did have a great game. I mean, and Declan Rice, I doubt will play, so he won't be able to fill in at centre back. So I mean, who can even play at centre back for West Ham? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that when you're looking at Arsenal's results over the last 5 games, that's proof to you that at this stage of the season, anything can happen. It's just so unpredictable. You got teams fighting for their lives. The fixtures are there on screen for you right now. So you got West Ham, right, which will be a hard game in its own right, even though West Ham are in the middle of games, European games. You got Leeds, who if they drop points tonight, they'll be fighting for their lives. And Jesse March has seemed to have got a tune out of that team. Obviously, you got the North London derby, Newcastle away, which is an incredibly tough fixture at this, well, not at this stage of the season, but just in general because of the way Newcastle are playing. And last game of the season, Everton at home, who also could be scrapping for their lives. Last game of the season.
We saw Everton yesterday. I know they lost in the end, but they made things for an hour at least, who no one expected even an hour of difficult play. They made it very difficult for Liverpool to build up play, to create any chances. Liverpool created very, very little for about an hour in that game, until obviously they made some changes and really forced the issue and obviously got the win. But that showed that they are fighting for everything. At the moment, they're in the relegation zone, and might well be the case going into the last day of the season. If it is, that's not going to be an easy game either. Having said that, obviously we have Burnley at home as well, and they're going to be scrapping for everything. They've got new motivation under the new management. I think they're unbeaten now in 3 games under the new manager. So
2 wins and a draw, I think it is.
Yeah, so that ain't going to be easy either. And obviously Norwich away, you have to say, if we can't win that, then we don't deserve anything. You know what
Agreed.
I mean? So I think it's still...
And it's on your birthday as well, so surely we're due a bit of luck that day.
Birthday present. That'll be a beautiful birthday present to get top 4. It is still so tight on a knife edge, isn't it, this top 4 race. In terms of Man United, they are 4 points behind us now, and we have obviously the game in hand, which is Arsenal at home. I can't see them, the way they're playing.
Look, Man U could be out of it in the next 2 games. Their next 2 games are Chelsea and Brentford. If they don't pick up a win in either of them, I think that'll be them done.
I can't see them getting top 4 from this stage. Even after that, Brighton away and Palace. Was it Brighton away and Palace away? Is it
Brighton at home? I think it is, and Palace away.
Brighton at home. It says away there.
It's away.
So their last 2 games. Those 2 games, I can easily see them dropping points in one of them. You know what I mean? So
I think Man U are done for this season. To be honest,
they needed to get at least something from Arsenal to stay.
And they deserve to be fair.
Yeah,
they did deserve to, but now they didn't. I can't see them doing anything this season. Chelsea got nothing else to play for this season. Brentford are playing really well at the moment, and 2 hard away games to end off the season.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for United. Even if they win all their 4 games, that puts them on. That's 12 more points. That puts them on 60. They're on 54 at the moment. So that puts them on 66. Like, even if they win all their 4 games, are they going to get it? I don't know. I don't think
It's
so.
highly unlikely, but they won't win their next 4 games.
I can't see us or Arsenal finishing below 66. Considering Arsenal right now at 60, we're on 58. One of us is going to finish above 66.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think you've probably got to say they're out of it. So it really is a shootout between us and Arsenal.
Yeah, and it's not just going to come down to a North London derby. I don't believe that narrative at all, and I think that there's 2 difficult fixtures for both teams after the North London derby. Like I said, Arsenal go away to Newcastle straight after that North London derby. That's going to be a very difficult fixture for them. Newcastle are like one of the form teams in the league at the moment. In December, they were, 7 points, bottom of the league.
5 home wins in a row.
And exactly, now they're 9th in the league. That Newcastle game, barring the North London derby, is their hardest game for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they could definitely slip up in that game, the way Newcastle are playing and the way Eddie Howe's got them playing. And they're going to have motivation as well, because although they're safe and got nothing to play for, they're shown that obviously everyone knows that it's going to be a big summer for Newcastle. So all the players are right now trying to... it's pretty much an audition for all of them to show they want to be part of this project for next season. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes as well, playing really well at the moment.
We spoke about him in January, saying that, we would love him at Spurs and all that kind of stuff. And he's proving his worth, isn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant player.
Yeah, and he's obviously coming up trumps. Joe Linton's obviously playing very well. So it's not going to be easy for Arsenal in that game. So even if we're still behind, there's still a bit of hope that if we get the wins that we should.
That's why I was saying the other day when you were saying that, if Arsenal win their next 2 games and we lose to Liverpool and beat Leicester, it's more or less done. But I don't think that's the case either, because I think that Newcastle, if they win that Newcastle game, yeah, fine, I'd accept that. But that Newcastle game is our opportunity if we are going to go to lose to Liverpool and they win their next 2 games. That's the opportunity for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, assuming we win the North London derby, that is.
Correct, but then it's just completely out of our hands in that case, which is not a situation you want to be in going last 2 games of the season. Of
course, it's not a position you want to be in, obviously, but the fact of the matter is it's a very difficult game for them, so it's an opportunity.
I think the biggest worry is that as much as Arsenal are getting the rubber of the green, it's not that we're not getting the rubber green, it's just we're not playing well at all at the moment in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest worry when it comes to analysing who's going to get what points, because who would have expected no shots on target against Brighton and Brentford? No one would have expected us to do that. And the fact that I just saw a compilation of all our mistakes, all our sloppy mistakes against Brentford, and it is shocking, man. It is. We obviously you could see it during the game, but when you see it just like in a compilation like that, it just is so concerning about what it was. It's not simply just tactics and stuff, but how lethargic and sloppy and like tired that we looked in some of our movements. And we're talking about some of the best players. Harry Kane was one of the biggest culprits of that during the game. Obviously, we know Emerson and Sessegnon, the troubles we've had with wing back and stuff like that. But to have Harry Kane looking as lethargic as he did on we need him to be on top of his game if we're going to have a chance of snatching this top 4 spot. And the fact that he looks so bad is a massive worry in terms of, can he recapture that form now for the last 5 games? And we need to shake things up a bit. I think the same way Arteta changed it up, maybe we need to do the same, because maybe sticking with the same team, we could do that, because you could say, look, it's 2 games. Hopefully we can, we go again and we can recapture the form the team we're playing. And maybe you don't want to hit the panic button, but it's hard not to sometimes when the games are running out and we're looking so stale as we have in the last 2 games. And you need to just shake things up a bit to make sure we're looking creative again, because at the moment it's like we can't even get a shot on target, let alone a goal. So how are we going to win all these games? That's what it feels like. But maybe we have to just have more faith in the way that we were playing before, and hopefully we can start playing like that again.
Is these last 2 games just more proof of the mentality of this squad? of the players in this team, because, you know, we're playing so well, scoring so many goals, and as soon as we come under a little bit of pressure, as soon as we become favourites in this top 4 race, this happens.
I mean, in theory, we should be the team actually at this stage who's a bit more experienced and we've got players in the squad, you know, including the likes of Bentancur, Son, Kane. You could maybe even put Kulusevski in there, Eric Dyer, Romero, Ben Davis, even Lloris. If you look at that core of the squad, these are players who are very used to getting top 4 finishes. They've done it many, many times in their career. They've done it on consistent basis as well. A lot of them in a Tottenham shirt, they've done it. So they've beaten these run-ins. I know recently, over the past couple of years, we've faltered, but, you know, we went 5 years in a row under Pochettino, finishing top 4, and we're used to these kind of run-ins. But albeit when we did play under Pochettino, apart from maybe that last season when I think we claimed top 4 on the last day.
Is that when Aubameyang missed the penalty?
That season.
Yeah.
Apart from that season, I think we were pretty much clear of top 4 come the run-in.
Yeah, obviously that season we did get very lucky that Aubameyang did miss that penalty that day.
Yeah, obviously, but yeah. I'm saying we still got top 4 in that run-in, but I'm saying apart from that year, in the 3 previous years, we were already we were well clear in top 4 before like the last 5 games or so. So it wasn't really a pressurized run-in like there is now. But still, these players know what it's like to go on a string of wins. To when it comes to crunch time in a season when you're going for top 4 to get over the line, they've done it many times. So
this is probably the most pressurized top 4 race we've had since the one that we beat Man City in.
Since the one that because the season, even that season when we finished 4th under Poch, it wasn't a case of us chasing or it was neck and neck. It was a case of actually, because we went on a great run first half of the season, and it was pretty much just in the last few games, it was about we were actually well clear, and then we allowed Arsenal to close the gap for the last few games, and then we just got over we pretty much crawled over the line in the end. This is a bit different. Did
we draw to Norwich at White Hart Lane or something like that?
I can't remember. We drew to Norwich. We lost a lot of away games. That was it. We lost to like Southampton, and we were losing quite a few. We lost to Bournemouth. I remember we had 9 men.
I
think we drew last over the season to Everton. We were dropping a lot of points that season. We lost to West Ham at home as well. We were just faltering right at the end. But it wasn't a case of us chasing someone down. It was a case of we were well clear in 4th, and then we were in that Champions League run. All our focus was on that, and we took our half ball in the league, and we very nearly let it slip right at the end. But we never dropped out the top 4. We were always in the top 4 at that whole time. Now it's different. Now it's like we have to go on a run of wins to make sure that we're chasing and making sure we get into that top 4
It's pretty
spot.
much just punch for punch now. Blow for blow. Tyson Fury, Dillian White. Let's hope we're the Tyson Fury and do a knockout in the 6th round. But it's going to be difficult. And when you're looking at it impartially, you know, taking a Tottenham hat off, taking their Arsenal hats off and stuff like that, you've got to say Arsenal are the favourites now. And it looks unlikely. It looks a bit unlikely at the moment for Spurs to do it. But anything can change.
I wouldn't say unlikely, but I would say they are the favourites. But I wouldn't say like.
But
it's
like
still
when you're
close.
of course it's so close. When you're looking at their fixtures, I mean, you're backing them to win the majority of those fixtures. West Ham with the European run, you probably back them to win that. Leeds at home, you back them to win that. Newcastle away, they are the better team, but you know it's going to be a difficult game for that. North London derby is the game, and then the next 2 games after that. The next game after that, Everton at home, which Everton have been shocking for a whole season. So if they do what they're expected to do, they get top 4.
Correct. I guess if they win, but that means they have to win. They have to win 4 of their last 5 games to pretty much get top 4, which is not beyond the realms of possibility. But it's also, you could argue that's unlikely considering how they're playing at the moment, despite getting 2 big wins. So I would say it's still so close. It's still
it is so close.
So I wouldn't call it unlikely that we get top 4 from this position. But
no, I'm not saying it is unlikely that we'll get top 4. I'm saying when you're from the outside looking in, when you're not putting your Spurs hat or Arsenal hat on, from the neutral point of view, it looks as though Arsenal are going to get it That's what it looks like.
Yeah, they're favourites at the moment. That's reality. We've let their advantage slip and we've given it back to Arsenal and they've taken it. That's reality, and we have to live with that. But it's still so close. Any one game again can change it. You know, just one result. Arsenal could drop any result in any of those 4 games apart from us. I feel as much as they could win all of them, they could also drop points in
Agreed.
any of them.
And the same goes with us.
Yeah,
Exactly the same goes with us. I mean, if we don't go and beat Leicester this weekend, then it really is a massive uphill task.
If we don't beat Leicester, I can't. And look, if we don't beat Leicester and then Arsenal fail to beat West Ham, then it's back on again. But if we fail to beat Leicester and they go and beat West Ham, yeah, then you have to say then it's unlikely.
Yeah.
Then it goes unlikely. I 100% agree with that. And also, but in terms of the ramifications for both teams, we'll go into the manager situation in a moment. But it's just I think the ramifications for us not finishing top 4 are so much bigger than Arsenal.
In what sense?
In the sense that in terms of where our squad's at, the manager situation, money to spend in the summer, I think that for Arsenal, right now they've got a very young team. They're not in danger of any of their big players leaving, even if they don't get top 4. Their manager is going to be there next season when they get top 4 or not. Everyone, you know, a lot of they like him over there at the moment. Well, most of them do, I think. Especially in terms of club level, they definitely like him, and he's definitely going to be there. In terms of money to spend, Arsenal, I don't think it's as dependent as Tottenham getting top 4 for Arsenal to spend. Because I think they've shown last summer they're willing to spend big money when they weren't in Europe. But for Tottenham, it's all up in the air. Conte staying, Kane staying, money. Whether we're going to have the money to reinforce the squad as much as we could if we don't get Champions League. I think I'm not saying if we don't get top 4, everything goes to shit. But I think if we don't get top 4, I think in terms of the squad, it's a lot more of a setback for us than it is for Arsenal, in my opinion. As much as Arsenal would have in their project, it would be fantastic for them to get top 4 now. There's still belief in that project whether they get top 4 or not this season. Whereas for us, I think a lot more doubts creep in if we don't. Just in the case of whether we continue with this project, we don't know that. It's not guaranteed that this project will continue if we don't get top 4. That's the reality, unfortunately. And it might be the case where we don't get top 4 and we tell Conte, look, we're going to back you, and Kane stays and Conte stays, and that's all great. But I'm just saying that's not 100% guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, but I think...
It's not 100% guaranteed.
I think it is... I don't know, like with Haaland going to City, I mean, where's Kane going to go this summer if we don't finish top 4? Realistically, I mean, who's going to spend the money on him?
I don't know.
I can't see any other club spending the money on him. Would he want to go to Manchester United, who will be in a similar boat to us? I'm not too sure. And in terms of Antonio Conte, I don't think he leaves if we get just because of top 5. I think he leaves because if the club don't back him or not.
That's what I'm worried about.
And I don't think 4th or 5th should make a bearing of how we back Conte. I don't think it should. I think the money should be there either way. Levy was saying not long ago that, you know, the finances should be a lot better now than it was during the pandemic, which is obvious. We managed to attract Christian Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, Bentancur not being in the Champions League and being in the Conference League and stuff like that. So I don't see why we can't have a pull this summer, being 5th, being as a Europa League team.
The fact of the matter is, this club relies on Champions League money. We looked at the finances. That's what it said. We rely on the Champions League money if we're going to have to spend, and then the money won't be as much. That's just a fact. We won't have as much money to spend if we're not in Champions League. The budget won't be the same. And if the budget's not the same, will the budget if we finish 5th in Europa League be enough to get the players that Conte wants to feel like he's been backed? If it's not, then all of a sudden he leaves, and we'll bring up that conversation in a sec. But like all of a sudden we're starting a different project again. I'm just saying, whether Arsenal finish 4th or 5th, they're on the same project. For us, it's different. We might not be. We might be. Conte might feel like this is enough money and he's going to stay, and Kane will be motivated to be at his best and whatever. It's down to Conte. We might get the right backing, but there is a situation for us where us getting top 4 costs us that. And Conte decides that isn't enough. Actually, the budget isn't big enough, and I don't believe in this project. And he moves on. That is a reality that might be the case. Whereas for Arsenal, 4th or 5th, they're going in the same direction. Doesn't matter. They're sticking with that manager staying there. So, all their big all the big players they currently have are all going to stay because they're young. They're Arsenal through and through. They're going to be there next season. So that's why it's definitely more important for us, for me.
Yeah, there's also a case that in this summer, it's a bit easier to have a bit of a tighter budget because of the deals that are available this summer.
Yeah.
This transfer window is very different to what it has been in the past 4 or 5 years, where you've got a lot of good players on free transfers. You've got a lot of good players in the last year of their contracts as well. That will be a lot cheaper than what they would have done maybe a year or two ago. So that gives me that little bit more confidence that if we don't get Champions League this year, we can still do that kind of rebuild to the rebuild of like Conte's requirements.
I just think it's much more important for our project to get Champions League this year than Arsenal.
It is. No, you're right. It is. But I don't think that all is lost if we don't get top 4.
I never said all is lost. I said it's possible it might be, but I don't think it is.
I don't think it
I think there is a situation where it might be. Look, I think we're on there's a domino effect for me. And I think the dominoes could start to fall against us if things don't go right in these last 5 games. There is a reality where that is possible. And that's what I'm worried about. I just think if we do get top 4, all those worries set aside. And I think we're going on the right path. Conte, I'm guaranteed, will stay. Everyone believes we're going in the right direction. But if we don't, there are doubts that might creep in. I'm hoping they don't, and I'm hoping everyone's still on the same page. But there's a possibility that they might not.
If the doubts creep in, then there's only one guy to blame, and the one guy to blame, as always. I mean, it will be completely unforgivable. No matter what happens, it'll be completely unforgivable if we let this Conte situation completely slip from our hands, whether we get 4th or 5th. Even if we get 5th and we don't back Conte to his requirements, it's an absolute disgrace.
Of course. I completely agree with that.